What's up, y'all? It's your boy Batmac back at it again with the Patriots Connected franchise. And here we go. This is a season recap as far as what happened this year in our Madden franchise with the New England Patriots. A big thing to really kind of look at is the fact that we did start our schedule against the Jets. So we didn't start until week 9 of this franchise because we originally had started at week 1. And then Antonio Brown got added and Leonard Fournette was traded. And just a lot of things were happening around the league. So then we started it. We did a start today, basically, and started at week 9. And we haven't looked back since. Yesterday I was trying to record this the other day, but then Madden wasn't letting me. I'm on the PS5 actually right now as well, and it was not letting me. Well, it wasn't letting me do a lot of things. So now we're finally officially in our franchise that we've been playing, and now we can really recap the season. So obviously we know that the game against Miami Dolphins, we looked pretty solid. We didn't look overly good, but we looked pretty solid, and I was really proud of how our defense played that game. And then our offense looked okay. Like, I wouldn't say it was like, it wasn't explosive or anything, but it looked very solid. We made the Dolphins look very pedestrian. And then we went against the Seattle Seahawks, and our defense looked horrible. But our offense looked really good because the Seahawks defense was terrible. Then we went against the Raiders and dominated the Raiders, who had, who have been playing well this year, and us dominating a team like that felt really good. Against the Chiefs, we couldn't score with them. Cam Newton was out with COVID. And Jarrett Stidham and Brian Hoyer were both playing terrible. Against the Broncos, Cam Newton had just come back from COVID, and Cam Newton has not really looked the same since then. So then we got bodied by the 49ers. We lost to the Bills on a Cam Newton fumble on a drive, the potential game-winning drive, which, with the way the game was going, it definitely felt like we were going to do that in real life. So then it comes to our franchise. We played against the Jets. Cam Newton had a solid day with 279 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Sam Darnold, we held him not doing too much. That's when we really started trying to run the ball in the franchise with Damian Harris. He was featured as our starting running back. And N'Keal Harry had 2 of those touchdowns that started making it look like he could be a potential good red zone target. And then we decided to go beat the Ravens, who we kind of dominated the whole game, and then Lamar Jackson started making a little comeback. But we held off, and we won the game 24-21. Texans, we could not stop a nosebleed against the Texans, and Deshaun Watson tore us up. Will Fuller had a big day, and just honestly, everything was just going bad. Then against the Cardinals, game-winning drive, Kyler Murray, and, well, that's really all we could say. We bodied the Chargers. Rams, we kind of dominated the whole time. Jared Goff didn't do much against us. Cooper Kupp had a big play. Robert Woods had big plays. But it wasn't really much. And then we lost to the Dolphins, which ultimately ended our season because it made it a lot more difficult for us to slip in the playoffs somehow. And then we beat the Bills with Josh Rosen playing because Josh Allen was injured. And then you guys just saw the game against the Jets the other day, or yesterday. And there you go. That is the Jets game. So we can take a look at how we did on the season overall. As far as stats-wise, our offense is very pedestrian. 25th in passing for Cam, 28th in touchdowns. Damian Harris was the sixth leading rusher, 9 touchdowns, which was 6th in the league. And then our passing game was just pitiful. So taking a look at how the regular season went, Cam Newton, 16 touchdowns, 21 interceptions to end the year. That's including stats that he had in real life. Only 3,200 yards passing. For a veteran quarterback, that is very bad. Our offense had no explosion. And it just really wasn't. It really just wasn't much to really be happy about. And then obviously Brian Hoyer was absolutely terrible against the Chiefs. And so was Jarrett Stidham. It just hasn't been a good time, man. It just really hasn't. Our passing attack has been something that we really have to worry about. I mean, I do like to blame a lot of it on our receiving core, but ultimately our quarterback position is very lacking, and I feel that we definitely need to get better in the passing game just overall. And so now here we go with the rushing attack. Damian Harris, who ended up taking over for our rushing attack around week 9, has really, well, actually around week 8. And I think that's when he really started trying to go take off, really started getting the carries. He ended up leading our team in rushes behind ahead of Cam Newton. And we ended up getting Damian Harris in the 1,000-yard club against that game against the Jets in week 17. So Damian Harris has really been proving that he can be a solid every down. Well, not every down. He's going to be a solid running back for us. He's a bruiser. He's tough. He's strong. He's fast. And it's definitely somebody that I can really try to build my offense around. If I can potentially get a quarterback in free agency or the draft, I'm going to be leaning heavily on Damian Harris next season, along with Sony Michel, who will be coming back. But Damian Harris will be our featured starting running back, and I'm excited to see what we can do with that, because 9 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, that is solid for the second-year player out of Alabama. Cam Newton, I still do not know, and I still have not fully decided whether or not I'm going to retain Cam Newton or re-sign him. Free agency, I will have a chance to let him go through free agency, and I don't know if I'm going to keep him. I might try to make a trade and try to do something in the draft, or just might re-sign him in free agency. But that is to be determined. We will see how that goes. But he had 598 rushing yards, along with his 3,000 passing yards, 3,200. So, he had a solid little season, just under 4,000. Just under 4,000 yards for the whole year, along with 11 rushing touchdowns, which is insane. And I'm super happy with how that is. But I'm excited to see where 11 touchdowns is as far as the whole entire league. And then our rushing attack in general was just kind of just spread out. We really gave Rex Burkhead, James White a lot of work. Sonny Michel been hurt for us, but he would get a lot of work too. So running back by committee. Right now I don't have Rex Burkhead or James White re-signed, so they both might be hitting the free agency, but we can re-sign them because I don't see a lot of people trying to get them. James White might be gone, but you got to do what you got to do. Now, receiving-wise, we have Damiere Byrd with 42 receptions, 659 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and that was our leading receiver. Our passing was just overall just pedestrian and just no big plays, and it was just kind of just pathetic. We really had to just nickel and dime people down the field. Didn't break a lot. We don't have that guy that can take something to the house on any given time. So, especially since we lost Julian Edelman for most of the year when he only played 6 games. So that is something that I really want to address in the offseason as well. If we can we can get a receiver in free agency or in the draft, that is something we definitely need to pertain and try to look for in this draft, because overall these numbers are just not good. As far as blocking goes, I'm very happy with our O-line. Even from the week 9 game that we played, we've only given up 7 sacks from our O-line. So that's very good. Speaking of that, Cam Newton only got sacked 19 times. So that's something we can definitely hang our hat on, is that our O-line is very solid. Now defensively, Juwan Bentley with 120 tackles on the season. Very solid. Adrian Phillips up there as well. Replacing Pat Chung, who decided not to play. The big thing I've been worried about is Kyle Duggar, our rookie out of Lenore-Rhine. That is a player right here that I am very excited for. He is very athletic. He's 89 speed, and he can play linebacker. And so that's he's kind of a big guy, 6'1", 220. So he's a strong guy. He could definitely play in the linebacker spot, which we did have him at that sub linebacker spot in nickel and dime packages. So seeing him really develop into the player that he is right now, I'm very excited for the future, and I'm still excited for what our defense can do. Sacks wise, we don't really get to the quarterback. Chase Winovich with 8 sacks. We don't get to the quarterback unless we blitz, so we definitely need to address. Maybe we can find a diamond in the rough. That's a good pass rusher, but I can't really get my hopes up with that. And then our secondary, J.C. Jackson, is the one who led our team in interceptions this season. Stephon Gilmore, the former Defensive Player of the Year, who is about to turn 29. So he's about to turn 30 years old here pretty soon. And I do like his ability, obviously, but with one interception and everything, I feel like we can really get a king's ransom for Stephon Gilmore, so I might be looking at trying to move on from him, but only if I feel comfortable with the move in general. So that's something we are definitely going to be shopping this season, even though, because we are technically in a quick rebuild mode. I don't want this to be a year-to-year process. I want this to be a quick turnaround and for us to be right back in the playoffs next season. So taking a look at how the league went. We had Aaron Rodgers leading the league with 4,300 yards, 47 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, which is probably going to be an MVP season for Aaron Rodgers. Then we got Matt Ryan, Drew Brees, Ryan Tannehill, Jared Goff, Phillip Rivers, Patrick Mahomes, and Tom Brady with 38 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and 4,000 yards in year 20. That is insane. And I miss him in New England, man. I truly do. So then, just taking a peek at everybody else's stats around the league. Justin Herbert, solid rookie season. Probably rookie of the year. Sean Watson was doing good, just couldn't win. Joe Burrow, an absolute monster. Ben Roethlisberger, solid season. And then you start getting down to the quarterbacks that had subpar years. And Cam Newton's right here at the bottom with the worst. So it's like I said, we really have to address how things can go this season. As far as rushing goes, Derrick Henry leading the league in rushing with 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns on the season, averaging 4.7 yards a carry. And then Dalvin Cook was hot on his tail with less carries, with 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns, just under, literally 4 yards, 1 carry away from being in the 1,200 club. So he's right behind Derrick Henry. But he did have 2 fumbles. So I would say technically Dalvin Cook had the better season with 17 touchdowns and just a couple drives, and he has that yardage as well. So that's a very solid season. But I'm really excited to see Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, and Josh Jacobs, a new wave of running backs starting to ball out. So now and then we have James Conner, who had a solid season and stayed healthy finally. Ezekiel Elliott with 1,100 yards, so another 1,000-yard season for Zeke and 10 touchdowns. Damian Harris, there you go, the 6th leading rusher in the league, 1,087 yards, 9 touchdowns, and no fumbles. Definitely something I can hang my hat on. And then Ronald Jones, obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Kenyon Drake to, end off the 1,000-yard club for running backs. And then taking a look at the rest of the league. And there you go. I know Nick Chubb was hurt, and he didn't come back the same time in our franchise as he did in real life. Cam Newton, there you go. 598 yards, beating Lamar Jackson in rushing yards. So I love to see that. Now I kind of want to see where Kyler Murray is in this list. It's Lamar and Cam, and there's Kyler Murray at 577. Love to see it. Now, as far as receiving goes, Allen Robinson led the league in catches and yards. So 1,100 yards, 1,147 yards. 5 touchdowns, though. So his passing attack wasn't the best. I know Nick Foles, and that passing attack's not really something to really hang your hat on, but that's how it is. Going off with another 1,000-yard receivers is Stephon Diggs, who was second. Terry McLaurin, Robbie Anderson, Devontae Adams, who led the league in touchdowns, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Cole Beasley. And then taking a look how the rest of the league went. Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb Mark Cooper had way more catches, so CeeDee Lamb was more explosive. And he had also got in the end zone more. Tyler Lockett. DK Metcalf didn't end up not getting 1,000 yards in this franchise. Julio. Jerry Jeudy with a solid season, a solid rookie campaign as well. Will Fuller. Mike Evans, and there you go. This is the rest of the league. Taking a look at that. That's what I like to see. And there's Tyreek Hill. Now we go to the defense players right now. Eric Kendrick led the league in tackles. That's a lot of tacklers with 100. So we're gonna look at the sacks. Myles Garrett with 17.5 sacks on the season, which led the league. Aaron Donald 14, Khalil Mack 13.5, T.J. Watt 13, Brandon Graham with 12.5, Zadarius Smith 12, and then Aldon Smith and Joey Bosa to pinch off the double-digit sack players in the league this year. And that's very solid. And interceptions was led by J.C. Jackson and Carl Joseph of the Cleveland Browns. So J.C. Jackson was tied for number 1 in the league for interceptions. And that's what I love to see, man. I love it. Now, taking a look at how we just did in general. So, passing, it looks like our offense was actually number 1 in offensive yards right there. But, you know, a lot of it was just us trying to control it. But I don't really know how much of this is really that accurate because we didn't play the whole season ourselves. As far as passing goes, the Packers had the number 1 pass offense, and we were... Probably should start from the bottom. '27th in the league passing the ball, which is absolutely horrible. We are in the bottom part of the league. 27th out of 32. Only 3,448 yards passing on the season. And we definitely need improvements, man. Just a lot. We need a tight end because our tight end presence is just obsolete. We need a receiver that can actually turn nothing into something. And we just need a better quarterback. We need better quarterback play. As far as rushing the ball goes, we were number 1 in the league as far as rushing, but that is a lot due to Cam Newton helping our rushing attack. Obviously, Cam Newton is Cam Newton, and everybody knows what he brings to the table when it comes to rushing. So, that's happened. I'm happy to see that. But, I would want it to be better as far as our passing attack. If we can have more of a balanced attack, then I would love that. Now, taking a look at our defense. Total defense. Our defense was... looks like middle of the pack in the league as far as total defense. So, but next season we do to get Dante Hightower back. We get Pat Chung back. So that will definitely help. Stephon Gilmore, if we decide to retain him. Obviously, we know what he brings. So, we'll be able to see. I think we can get our defense back in the top 10 next season when we get everybody back on the field, barring no injury. Against the pass, the Seahawks were the worst, which no surprise there. Best team was the 49ers. And it looks like against the pass, we were yet again middle of the pack. But that's because we can't get to the quarterback, which definitely ruins a lot because quarterbacks have all day against us. So definitely got to worry about that. And as far as rushing the ball, Buccaneers, best rush defense. No surprise there. Cowboys, the worst rush defense. And we were near the worst in the league, around that 27th range. I didn't count this time, with 1,878 yards given up on the ground. Points allowed, the Chiefs gave up the least, and the Cowboys gave up the most sacks. The Steelers had the most sacks, fumble recoveries, the Rams, and interceptions. The Steelers with 22. But we also had 18, so we did help teams turn the ball over. Just our offense didn't do a lot, and our defense just gave up a lot. But sometimes it was a bend, don't break. As far as points allowed go, we were middle of the pack in the league as far as points given up. So there you go. just taking another look at our roster before we conclude this video is just looking at how we don't have a superstar on our team on offense. Everybody's a star or normal, and I don't really know how these players are going to develop. I assume Damian Harris will probably be a star dev going into the season. Once the end of the season comes, I assume he'll boost up, being 6th in the league in rushing. James White, right now we don't have re-signed coming up. Rex Burkhead, there you go. And then Sony Michel, who's obviously a star dev. Here we go. There you go. So that right now is how our pecking order is kind of running. There you go. That's how. So going into this season, this will be our depth chart as far as offensive side of the ball. Now, defensive side of the ball, we have a lot more talent, but it's still not nearly as good as it could be. And really, our talent's predicated on Stephon Gilmore and Devin McCourty. So Devin McCourty right now is a solid anchor in our defense, and Stephon Gilmore is obviously the former Defensive Player of the Year and an absolute lockdown corner. But I'm looking to try to get more from Josh Uche and Anthony Jennings next season, or potentially if we replace them, then that could be a possibility as well. I know J.J. Watt is wanting out of Houston, so if I could potentially go get him, that'll definitely help our D-line. Lawrence Guy, Chase Winovich. I want Chase Winovich to get the playing time, so we might be looking to replace Lawrence Guy a little bit as he is aging. And then Kyle Duggar, an absolute beast. I'm very excited to see what his future holds. But ultimately, going into the offseason, the main thing I want to look for is a receiver. I want to look for a quarterback. And just a couple more things on our defense, potentially somebody that can rush the passer or something like that. So free agency and the draft are going to be huge for us. We have a lot of cap room to sign people in free agency, so I'm really hoping that some players slip through the cracks and that we can sign them ourselves. But before we go, let's take a look. So right now we have James White, who we could re-sign. Jason McCourty, I don't know, he might retire. Cam Newton, who I'm actually looking for, is probably letting him go and then potentially hitting free agency, because $17 million over a year is a lot. Lawrence Guy, going to let him hit free agency, and we're going to see what he can do. John Simon, Adam Butler, I'm actually going to plan on re-signing. There you go. Rex Burkhead, we're going to let you walk, bud. I'm sorry. Brandon Copeland, Terrence Brooks, Derek Rivers, Brandon Bolden, Shaquille Calhoun, Cody Davis, Nick Folk, I'm not re-signing. Danny Vitale, Carl Davis, Matt Lacoste, Jermaine Illuminor, Nick Thurman, Cash Malawi, I don't know, Brian Hoyer, and James Fuentes. All these guys, I'm sorry, but y'all not getting re-signed. But anyways, y'all, next video, I will see you guys in the off season.